This is day 45 of communication practice with ChatGPT. Morning, ChatGPT.
Good morning. How's it going?
Uh, I'm a little bit nervous because I have a lot of interview coming in the future, and I want to be well prepared for those. Can you help me with that?
Of course, I'd be happy to help you get ready. We can go through mock interview questions, practice your responses, and work on your confidence. What specific areas do you want to focus on? Technical questions, behavioral questions, or something else?
There are two main um, kind of questions that I want to follow. So the first is um, the technical question for senior role interviewer, and the second is the both technical and behavior for the executive interviewer. So let's practice each of them.
Got it. Let's start with a technical question for a senior role. Then we can move on to a question suitable for an executive interviewer. Ready for the first one?
Yes.
All right, here's a technical question for a senior data engineer role. Can you describe how you would design a scalable data pipeline to handle real-time analytics for a large e-commerce platform? What technologies would you use, and how would you ensure data consistency and reliability? Take your time to think it through, and then we can go over your response.
Okay, first I would want to do the analysis on the business requirements, so that essentially decide what we would choose. For example, if it's a near real-time micro batch, we can apply some batch setup, and if like Spark um, or Glue job in AWS, and if it's for real-time streaming analysis, it should have some streaming data processing mechanism. So let's say we are designing a real-time analysis for e-commerce. So e-commerce have multiple sources, from user interactions to the products changing, and with that multiple sources, essentially we would want to streamline those into topics on Kafka based, like MSK, and from that we can do the streaming analysis on that, uh, using Apache Flink based, like AWS Kinesis. And for the real-time analysis, we can do OpenSearch for the reporting, and we can also dump data, persist data to the S3 storage for the long-term storage with low costs, and to ensure data reliability and scalability. It it essentially based on the technology itself. Um, by Kafka, we can anticipate and set up partitions so that the consumer can be found out and process data in parallelly. And for Kinesis, we can configure auto scale, so that if data is peak, it will consume. Okay.
Great job. You covered the main points clearly. You started by analyzing business requirements, then outlined the difference between batch and streaming processing, and recommended a streaming architecture using Kafka and Flink or Kinesis. You also mentioned using OpenSearch for real-time analytics and S3 for long-term storage. Highlighting scalability through partitioning and auto-scaling was a nice touch. Overall, I'd rate your response an 8 out of 10. For even more impact, you could add a bit about monitoring and alerting to ensure system health and performance. Ready to move on to a behavioral question for the executive interviewer?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, here's a behavioral question. Tell me about a time when you had to manage conflicting priorities on a critical project. How did you handle it, and what was the outcome? Take a moment to think it over, and then share your response. You'll go over it together afterward.
Okay, for conflicting resolution, uh, first I would want to list out all the priorities at the time for that project, and I would align with the next sprint or the uh, quarter backlog planning from the start to make sure that we meet the epic that we committed uh, in the beginning of the quarter. And for those, I would then I would come up to the product owner and the tech lead to get their view of these of the prioritizers. And normally I would prioritize thing that is a blocker to other team members. For example, if this flow have to enable as fast as possible for the tester and for the business user to test on that, I would focus on that first before, and otherwise I would rather do the things in parallelly, thing in parallel. Um, for example, during the job is running, I also uh, get that slot of time to pulling data from production to user acceptance environment, testing environment, so that the work is more efficient. And and finally, during the time that there is a lot of um, prioritization at the time and all of them are important, I have to set my mindset that uh, it's the time to, you know, we have to do the extra time with extra work to meet our commitment from the start. So that's what I do.
Nice response. You did a good job outlining your approach. You started with listing and aligning priorities, then consulting with the product owner and tech lead. You highlighted the importance of focusing on blockers and parallelizing tasks to maximize efficiency. You also mentioned the need to put in extra effort during critical times to meet commitments, which shows dedication. For an even stronger answer, you could add a specific example or a short story to illustrate how you applied these steps in practice and what the outcome was. Overall, I'd give your answer a solid 7 out of 10. Great job.
Yes, and well, thank you for chatting with me. I think it's all for today.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Have a great rest of your day and good luck with your preparation.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.